Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ashley from ReloGeek.com, and you're listening to episode 4 of the Ship More Cars podcast. And on today's podcast, I want to talk about the future of auto transport. I've been getting asked this question a lot, and this has been the leading conversation with other auto transport business owners who are the big fish of the industry. I've been talking with a lot of companies lately, and the topic of conversation is, where do I believe the future of auto transport lies? With technology constantly advancing, are we headed in a space or in a world where auto transport brokers or car haulers are going to be eliminated because of technology? And now the obvious one is the car haulers, and we all agree that we don't think that car hauling is going to be eliminated by self-driving trucks. Like, there's too many variables involved in car hauling that would make this difficult. Obviously, trucking in general, with self-driving trucks, you still have to have a man behind the wheel. He might not be behind the wheel. He could be in his bunk, but there's still somebody in that self-driving vehicle. It's not like the truck's going to drive itself completely. Especially in inner cities and stuff like that. And even though Google, if you guys been following up, there's cars that they've been testing since 2013, I believe, in the streets of San Francisco that drives itself for people. They had one guy on there that's blind, and he was able to drive for the first time ever, which he wasn't really driving because the car was driving him, and it was able to stop at stop signs and all this stuff. But even with that, we all can agree, the people that I've spoken with, better yet, I can say I feel that that you don't have to worry as a car hauler about the future of your position. As far as brokers are concerned, here's my take on this, and I've shared this with a lot of auto transport brokers. I don't believe that technology in the next 20 years is going to eliminate you 100%. Could it happen? Anything can happen. We live in a world where things go viral all the time, and then next thing you know, everybody is doing it. However, when it comes to technology and industries, it doesn't necessarily change industries overnight. If you think about any other industry, technology came out and it took at least 5 to 7 years before people adapted to it. And then once they adapted to it, those are just the early adapters. Then you have to have the rest of the world see it and be like, we're jumping on board. And that's another 5 to 10 years. So with that being said, on average, 20 years before, any type of major change can take place. You can look at the travel industry and use that as a judgment. It happened what seemed to be overnight, but a lot of these things was happening beforehand, and I'm not saying that it took 20 years for the travel industry to change, but even today, people still need travel agents. They're not eliminated. Like, everybody has this perception because you have Travelocity, you have Kayak, you have Hipmunk, you have all these technology solutions for booking, your flight. It doesn't mean that it's gone. It doesn't mean that travel agents have no use. They've had to adapt to the changes. People who are traveling abroad still use travel agents because they don't know the rules of the countries that they're visiting. They don't know the requirements, what immunizations they need, things like that. So where do they turn? They turn to travel agents. That's the safest and best way to visit another country, without finding yourself getting turned back because, you didn't know that your passport can't be 6 months from expiration date when you're going to certain countries, things like that. You don't want that to happen to you. So travel agents are very much in need. They're just adapting to the changes. The good ones. Now, obviously, have travel agents been put out of business? Of course, because they failed to do the one thing that will let you survive any type of technological advancement, and that is to adjust to the times. Think about social media. As a business owner, you're using social media to promote your business. And next thing you know, you're on, let's say, MySpace at the time when MySpace was popular. For those of you guys, that dates me, and you could kind of guess how old I am. But MySpace might have been popular. And then all of a sudden, Facebook is out. And only college people who graduated college or was in college could get Facebook. And then Facebook became publicized. And then there's Instagram. Instagram comes out. You have to adjust. It doesn't mean that you don't have to keep using Facebook, but you jumped over to maybe Instagram or Snapchat or whatever the it thing is. Great businesses learn how to adapt to changes. Back in the day, SEO and Google AdWords was the way to run your business. Now, a lot of businesses are moving towards Facebook marketing and being able to put out ads or Instagram ads. You have to adapt. You can't be stuck in one thing. So back to the conversation at hand with brokers, will one day you become obsolete? Probably, to the point, but you have to adapt. So if you don't worry too much about what could happen, just know that when this happens, you can change. That's the great thing about even being small. A lot of people don't like being the small guy or the little man or the solopreneur. You're in a great position. Bigger companies have employees and they have to change, and their change that they make can affect the entire everybody's lives that they manage, right? You manage your own self. You can change, right? With the times, you can change. And I know that I'm not saying that, you should always want to stay small. I'm not implying that. That's a conversation for another audio lesson. But for this sake of this podcast today, I just want to say that technology takes time. Think about the iPhone. When the iPhone first came out, it's a select few people who bought the iPhone. And then over time, people started growing, it started growing popularity, right? And then more and more people adapt. And with any type of change, we're not people who naturally love change. So even if tomorrow, which right now there are websites that say, if you're a customer, we send you directly to the carrier. And they still have their flaws. People are not. So even if, let's just say that those websites, they exist, right? Even if they did everything right and marketed their business, which they're not doing right, but even if they market their business in a way that gets customers in the door, the problem is not everybody wants that right now because we are not creatures that love change. So with that being said, don't worry about it. Even then, it's going to take years, probably 5, maybe 10, maybe 15 years. So I don't think technology is going to have a drastic change on auto transport. Now, with that being said, in freight, there's solutions out there that eliminate the broker, that allows customers to connect directly to car haulers. But brokers are still in need. There's great positions out there for freight brokers. You still can succeed as a freight broker. It does not change things. And this has been going on for the past 2, maybe 3 years. And yet it's not widespread. There's always nuances involved. And in transportation, you guys are in the transportation industry. There's always nuances. There's always little details, little things that you just cannot use technology for. Now, obviously, as we get smarter and smarter and technology gets more and more advanced, will there be somebody that comes out with a solution? Yes, there will. There's many things I can think of right now that we can do to kind of sort of eliminate the broker somewhat. But there still will be that group of people who are going to need you guys, who wants that customer service, who want that human connection in a technology-based world. So don't worry so much about that. And if it happens, just adapt. That's my message to you guys. If you take anything away from this about the future of auto transport, just be open to change. Adapt. Now let's continue the conversations in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. And if you're listening to this on my Facebook feed, then head over to ReloGeek.com and continue the conversation there. What do you think the future of auto transport is going to be? Do you think that technology is going to change things? And if so, when? When do you foresee this happening? Because I don't see it for another 20 to 30 years at minimum. Could I be wrong? Of course, I'm only human. I'm not an expert. I just tell my truth. I just share my experience, share my journey. So it's your turn. Share your thoughts. Nobody's right. Nobody is wrong. Let's just continue the conversation below. So that's it for episode 4 of the Ship More Cars podcast. I'm Ashley from ReloGeek.com. Thank you guys for listening, and I will speak to you guys in the next podcast.